I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank Amnesty International for inviting us to this event at Boston University. I only got invited or involved in this probably March 17th of last year. I missed the program. I had no idea before this all came about that there was even people fighting against the death penalty. My little brother, Ronnie Lee Gardner, was executed June 18, 2010 by firing squad in the state of Utah. He spent 25 years on death row. So for 25 years, as the years went by, I thought, he's never going to get executed. They don't hold someone in a cell 24 hours a day for 25 years and execute him. Well, within a 3-month time span of him getting the death sentence, he was ultimately executed by firing squad. I never did condone what my brother did. I don't agree with people killing people by no means, but for the state to premeditate and kill my brother was much, much worse than what he'd done. He didn't want none of us, his family members, to be there with him. We never thought it was actually going to happen, but when it came down to it, he didn't want us to witness such a vicious cycle of violence that was to happen. I did, after he was executed, go to the crematory before he was cremated. He was really hated in Utah. He'd shot a lawyer trying to escape from the courthouse. What happened is a botched escape attempt. I wanted to witness what they had done to him, and I unzipped the bag that he was in. And I looked at my little brother's chest, and there was 4 bullet holes over his heart. I could have stuck my fingers into the bullet wounds like a bowling ball, an extra hole. At that point I thought, how can our society take somebody and make victims out of their family and murder them? Years and years ago, before they had the death, or when they had the death penalty, they didn't have secure prisons like they have nowadays. There's people, Charles Manson, he never actually killed nobody, but Charles Manson, they've secured him and kept him incarcerated for this many years. We don't need to take our citizens and kill them. I have 5 children. Here's my son Bronson, he's sitting here. I don't teach my kids that it's okay if someone kills someone to kill somebody else. I've told my kids, if I'm ever murdered, don't let that person get the death penalty. That's how much I believe in this cause. In the beginning, my kids looked at me like, you're crazy, Dad. If someone kills you, and we want them to be killed. And through it all, I think I've convinced my kids, I didn't understand the full emotional effect that this would have on our family. It opened up a whole new box of worms. My brother has a 32-year-old daughter at the time that he was executed. He was only 9 years old when he got on death row. Since he was executed, she has tried to kill herself 2 times. Still, it's been almost a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. She's still not mentally stable. I've met other people involved in this movement that has just totally post-traumatic stress disorder. You would never imagine the effect that it does to our families where this happens. My brother he was 10 years old. He died at 49 years old. At 10 years old, he had attention hyperactive deficit disorder. Back then in the 70s, they didn't have a diagnosis for that. My brother would go to school. He felt like he couldn't learn. He was too hyper. He was inactive. He'd go in the front door, out the back door. Well, the state of Utah intervened, took my little brother, and they said, well, we're going to put him in a state hospital for 30 days. Evaluation. He ended up being in the hospital, a state mental hospital, around really crazy people for over a year. And that's how his life started out. Before that, he got involved with sniffing glue, sniffing gas, which we know nowadays really kills your brain cells. He was never crazy. He spent 25 years on death row. I've known people that are crazy that's been locked up for 5 years. He's kept his sanity some of the same ways that Suja had. He put himself in a different mind frame. You know, he was never in prison. He was out on a farm or out on a ranch, taking care of chickens. We had chickens and growing up. He was able to stay sane for a long, long time. I actually got involved with this trying to help his daughter out. She was literally going crazy. She was on life support for 3 days within 2 months after he got executed. Then again, right around Christmas time, she tried it again in OD. She was on life support again for another 2 days. I mean, she wasn't seeking. She really didn't want to be here. She just couldn't handle it. I got on the internet and started trying to find somebody that could help my niece, to help me and help my other family members. We were all crushed that the state of Utah had murdered my brother. I ended up getting hold of an organization, Journey of Hope from Violence to Healing. Big international organization, I'm thinking here. They have a phone number on the website. I called the guy out of desperation. His name was Bill Pelkey. Within 24 hours, Bill Pelkey calls me back. I think, whoa, this international organization, Journey of Hope from Violence to Healing, is calling me back. That was 2 days after Christmas, 6 months after my brother got executed. Since then, Bill Pelkey has become a brother of mine to replace the brother that I lost. He said that the first night I met him. I have traveled to 6 different states. I have traveled to 3 countries in Africa, doing speaking tours, trying to abolish the death penalty. I've been with Charity Lee on all kinds of events. When you hear Charity's story, it's totally different than mine or Suja's, but they're all intertwined. We're all here to do the same thing. We don't believe in state-sanctioned killings. We don't believe that no one has a right to take another person's life. We can take these persons that are killing people in society. Of course, we don't condone it, but we don't have to kill them. The violence just continues. My niece has a daughter. She was 16 at the time that this all happened. She got to know her grandfather and is having the same hard time that her mother's having. You know, she don't have her mother there to help her. She lives in a different state than I do. I cannot help her. She gets on the internet. She tries to get involved. It's just heartbreaking what it's done to the families. In Utah, we have hardly, I just attended Amnesty International and BYU, Brigham Young University. It's the first event in Utah that they've ever even had against the death penalty. We have 11 persons on death row in Utah. We still have the firing squad. It's the only state in the United States that has a firing squad. Actually, my brother chose the firing squad over lethal injection to draw attention internationally and nationally against the death penalty. He had an insight that we cannot even imagine the attention that it would bring. There were over 200 news crews for his execution. I did an interview with Larry King that actually would have turned out really well, and of course they had technical difficulties and never turned out. I was at prison. This abolition movement is a really a grassroots effort. You're finding out that one person can make a difference. Because you can come somewhere, you can tell your story, and if you get through to one person, and they get Then we got the internet. The internet is just a great tool for networking. I started out with 200 friends 2 years ago, and I literally have 700 friends, and 400 of them are abolitionists, people that weren't before. I mean, if you go onto Facebook, people, especially my own friends that know me, have known me for a long time. Randy, don't you ever post anything other than abolition stuff? I said, yeah, I post pictures of my kids. There's people that I've lost friends over this, but I've gained many more. If you believe in something hard enough, you work for it. I am in this for the long run. You know, until the death penalty is abolished here in the United States. There's 16 states that don't have it. Connecticut today may have repealed it. In the last 5 years, there's been 5 states that's abolished the death penalty. So I've come at a really good time to get involved in something like this. If you guys ever want to be involved in something that's really good, I mean, we just can't keep killing our own citizens in the United States. It's just the craziest thing in the world. We've traveled to Africa. We met we went to Uganda and went into the female death row. Their prisons are not like ours. Even though these female prisoners are on death row, they teach them love and compassion and humanity. They teach these women, even though one day they may die, they're teaching them trades, these women. They teach them, if you do ever get out of death row, if you do ever get off, well, then you have a trade to come out into the world and do something. Our prison systems are so inhumane, where they lock you up in your cell for 23 hours a day, let you out one day a week for a half hour to shower and wreck. I mean, how you can be in that situation and not literally go crazy. It's just cruel and unusual punishment. I mean, definitely they should be kept out of society. You know, it took my brother first 15 years in prison because of the way he was raised in the system. He always believed, well, Randy, if I was judged by a jury of my peers, then it would be convicts and prisoners. He said, I've been locked up since I was 10 years old. He goes, you know, shouldn't that be a technicality? You know, can we try that? Can we use that as maybe a case law in the Supreme Court? We talked to his lawyers, they said no, but I kind of agreed with him. Yeah, that is a jury of your peers, but, you know, it's, I guess, not a jury of our peers out here, but he had, the first 15 years, he was really a hardened criminal. 10 years ago, I bought 160 acres up in the northwest corner of Utah. The last 10 years of my brother's life, he had a dream to take these kids that were his age, 10 years old, and take them up there and start an organic farm. Well, it was just a dream of his, and it's what kept him sane for the last 10 years. And every day and every time he'd call me on the phone, Randy, have you done anything? Have you done anything? Have you got zoning ordinance? Have you checked on this? He started growing, he'd get apples, he'd grow organic fruit on it. And I still got a plant that he gave me right before he was executed. Things starting to die on me, and I'm just brokenhearted. I had an organic plant. He made his own mulch in his cell. He taught everybody on death row. He never got to actually physically touch anybody for 25 years. But they have their way of communicating cell to cell to cell. But he grew his own organic food in prison. He was so proud of himself, and he realized by teaching other inmates, and a lot of the younger guys that was going in there in the prison system, that it's this organic gardening and back to basics, you know, and getting back to, it would mellow these kids out that were in there for non-murderous crimes. He was so, originally when he went to prison, he was so violent when he went to death row, because he'd been raised by the system, always had to fight for himself, that they wouldn't even put him on death row. They put him in super maximum prison, where he never ever got to have no human contact. closing, I just want to say, if you're ever going to be active in something, be active in this. Just grassroots efforts, spread the word. Let's quit killing our citizens. It's not doing nobody any good. We can lock people up. There are people. My brother was violent. There are people that need to be locked up and kept out of society. But we don't need to kill them. Again, I want to thank Boston University and Amnesty International for having us out here. God bless you guys.